Hey guys, Gameboy3D Hunter here. Once again, we're back in Beam. Got an update for you for my adjustable add-ons and front engines pack. It's not too big of an update, but it is a cool one. It adds more intakes to the big block motors. Got a big old Procharger there on the 632 Dart motor. And if you don't know what a Procharger is, it's a belt-driven supercharger. I guess the regular version of a supercharger is also belt-driven, but instead of being two screws kind of interload with each other, producing a lot of airflow into the intake, or even pressurizing it with twin screw supercharging. A Procharger is a lot like a turbocharger, so it's a turbine, but instead of being exhaust driven, it is belt driven. This makes the power build you get with a Procharger linear. So it's actually quite an efficient power booster. You give up some low end, this is true, but you do get very good top end. You can tune this supercharger to a huge amount of power if you wish. This Procharger model has also been used on the 632 Ford and front engines pack, and it's available on the customizable Ford 540 cubic inch as well. What kind of engine would you use this supercharger on? You would probably want to use a centrifugal supercharger on a drag setup where you are at, the top of your rev for pretty much central launch. And racing setups, it can be good too if you have short gear ratios. Monster trucks, I'm not sure it makes a whole lot of sense, I'll be honest, because, you gotta move these 10,000 pound trucks along and you need a lot of engine power to do that. And a Procharger takes away some bottom end power. So, in real life, this wouldn't make sense, but in BeamNG, you can do pretty much whatever you like. And crash test dummy, I guess, can just stay there. It's not going to hurt anyone. Next up, I've added this Procharger to the 572 Chevy. Chevy has also undergone some model updates, so it should have slightly less holes in it than normal. The 572 is actually one of my favorite motors to drive because it makes about the same amount of power as the 540, but with an extra punch of torque. At least in twin turbo stock guys, I'm pretty sure. Here though, it's certainly a different experience to drive. Casual double backflip. I could have gone for another one, I think. I was lined up, but don't want to flex too hard on the haters. I did get a comment on my announcement post for this pack update, saying that this is one of the best Procharger models in Beam that someone has seen. Most of the time, it just uses a turbocharger model and they call it a Procharger. Well, here it is a real Procharger model. Doesn't exactly fit all the time, but it does look really good. I do want to get a centrifugal supercharger for my real-life truck, as impractical as that would be. I just think they're cool. All kinds of forced induction are cool. Let's go for a couple more jumps with the 572. Pretty easy to do power wheelies with this setup. Perfect parking. Next up, we move to front engines pack, because, take a look, we now have a Procharger setup up front as well. Previously, this motor up front only had naturally aspirated as an intake, and now you can give it some boost. I didn't give it a supercharger before because it was legitimately too tall, it wouldn't fit, but because this goes more forward than height-wise, it fits pretty well. That's one advantage that Prochargers do have, is that you can fit them pretty much anywhere. You can fit them right in front of the crank, you can fit them to the side, you can fit them above, whereas normal reach blowers, modern ones anyways, you will pretty much have to put it on top of the motor, and that makes for a very tall engine. We're about to blow this motor up because it's tuned pretty crazy. Nope, there it goes. Yeah, you can blow the motor up if you boost it too high with this, but I do like to give you the option to. It's now all about fine-tuning. How much boost can we get away with and such? Let's lower the boost there and the gear ratio there. So 3,200 horsepower, let's try 3,100 horsepower. Maybe I was 4,200 horsepower, I didn't look. I do love the sound of Prochargers too. If you haven't heard one in real life, they're actually loudest at idle. I went to a Donk car show a couple years ago, and there's this Procharged 500 cubic inch Cadillac. Made 1,200 horsepower. It was ridiculous. It was the loudest car at the show by far. That'll always stick with me. That was so cool. He had a wild torque converter on it too, where it was manual with a very heavy clutch. He could barely park it. There we go. 2,700 horsepower on this motor seems to be where it likes to be, but we have already killed it. We'll try one more time. Give the setup a good showing. I'm not sure, what event this setup would be useful for, but options are options. Having more of them is always better. This setup actually does drive pretty well, I'm finding. I'm not sure if that's the motor or the Procharger though, because the motor is just OP. Like 1,500 horsepower naturally aspirated is just dumb. And then we add a supercharger on top of that. Whatever. I enjoy working on engines, and I hope you enjoy driving them. I heard of some leagues that like to use the low power setups like the 489 Barstow motor and the 454 motor for low horsepower runs. I was always wanting to do something like that for one of my runs. I think one time I limited horsepower to 1200 and 1250. I was able to get around this by using a diesel motor with like 2,000 foot-pounds of torque. But still, low horsepower events are always different. That's going to be about it for this video. Let me know of any cool tuning setups you have in mind. Maybe I'll get around to it. And let me know your favorite ideas with the engines I've provided. The customizable Ford, insane. All these big blocks, insane. All the intake options, of course, also insane. That's going to do it for now, though. If you guys enjoyed, you can leave a like, favorite, comment, share, and of course, don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks, Game Boy Out. I'll see you all in the future.